Hello everyone, this is Minute with Madeleine and I'm so excited to be bringing you again another video. Today I've invited our two principals from the middle school and from the high school, Dr. Maher and David Redmond, who are going to talk with us today about the secondary program. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And really, I just want to say that I want to thank you on behalf of our community because of you, our children have been able to come back to school since February 2nd, and it's been just wonderful. I know they're thrilled to be back in school. So I know that we're now considering what can we do next in our program, and we continue to evaluate. So I wanted to start by asking you about the pros and cons of having students back on campus and what that means for our community. So,
well, we can already see as students are coming back to campus, we can see even under their masks, we can see their smiles, and we can see that they're able to interact with their teachers and their classmates in different ways.
sure.
And they are engaging in different ways that actually allow them to take advantage of online opportunities like office hours because they've built some of those relationships in different ways. So that's definitely a positive that I've noticed since we've started back.
Yeah, I would concur with that, Megan. You know, learning is based on relationships, and we can read online, we can absorb information and content online. The world is awash in information. There's no barriers to information, but there are significant barriers to learning when you don't establish positive relationships. So what we see first and foremost on campus, our students engaging with their teachers, being in the room with the people who care about them, being at their disposal so they can ask questions immediately. The feedback is so immediate. So all of the gains that we realize on campus are now becoming true and evident, and we do see increased learning, but we also see increased motivation. People are happy to be here, and let me say that we see that from the students, but we see that from our teachers. Whatever you may be hearing from students about how much they miss school is multiplied from our teachers about how much they miss being with their students. So these positive relationships that we're forging on campus are really the cornerstone of our success.
Well, and let me just say that really I want our community to know that all of us, our teachers, our staff, our administration, we all would love to come back to campus more often. I know you feel the same way. But I think what we want to talk about today is what are the challenges to returning to campus even more often than what we're doing today. So,
well, one of the realities in middle school and high school is that in order to provide the best learning environment, we want students to be able to continue to follow their individual schedules. So students change classes, they change teachers, and they change some of the cohorts of students that they interact with. That increases the chances that one case among a student group would impact the entire class or potentially even more. It's also for things like class changes that we have to be aware during class passing time, making sure that students continue to follow those health protocols. And so that's just an extra supervision that we need to work on, but just to maintain that health standard so that we can maintain that consistency of learning on campus.
And it stands in contrast to the model in the elementary school where you could have a student who is in grade 1 with 18 students and one teacher, and if there is a potential or there's an outbreak, then we would isolate that bubble or that group and we would be able to continue on with the other bubbles in grade 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and school would proceed as normal. Given the same scenario in the middle school and the high school where we have an infection, we would be looking at quarantining an entire cohort, so up to 50 to 60 students and all the 7 or 8 teachers with whom that student interacts. And when it comes to having our teachers being isolated, that has an impact on all of the other grade levels as well. So what we have in the middle and high school are systemic threats to continuity of online learning or on-campus learning rather, and what we see is a heightened danger of any outbreak, where we would not be able to isolate the cases as effectively as we could do in the elementary school. So for these reasons, we proceed with extreme caution in a very conservative manner, and I think that what we can see now at 5 weeks in is a great deal of success in our learning model.
So essentially what you're saying is that if we were to have a case of COVID among either our students or our teachers, the impact would be far greater than in the elementary school,
Yes.
where it's just a small cohort of one class. We would have to perhaps quarantine the entire grade, and they would be back to doing virtual learning at home.
Right.
That's right.
So we share faculty and we share facilities. So that also adds to the potential contact among grades. For example, we have one teacher who teaches all 5 grade levels across middle school and high school. So those are just the realities and the complexity of that systemic concern that we have.
We also think about the time of the year, because as we're approaching final assessments in grade 12 students, we have very little time to waste, and we have to be very careful to preserve it. If a specialized teacher right now falls ill due to COVID, it's highly, highly likely that we would not find a qualified replacement. And this would put at risk all of the learning that we've done in the 2 years in the IB program. And that is a high degree of risk to play with a child's education just before he or she is about to graduate. We understand that the risks are real, they are there. We want to have everybody back on campus as soon as possible, but we have to do so in a way that's responsible.
So we're putting our effort into health and safety and making sure that everything we do is prioritizing the health and safety and the continuing on-campus learning so that we can stay on campus as long as possible. I really appreciate your time, and just so that our community knows, every week we meet and we talk about potential changes and what is possible to modify, and we will continue to do that based on the information that we're getting from local authorities, what's happening in the country, and what we know to be good practice for our school. So thank you for doing such a great job, and
Thank you.
thank you, everybody. That
Thank you.
was Minute with Madeleine.